Emily, a struggling actress in Los Angeles, had spent years chasing her dream. Every day was a grind of auditions, rejections, and fleeting hopes. Her big break always seemed just out of reach. But tonight she felt a surge of determination as she stood outside the luxurious home of Peter, a renowned and influential director. She knew his reputation: brilliant, charismatic, and ruthless. He was casting for a new film, a potential blockbuster that could catapult her to stardom. This was her chance, and she wasn't going to let it slip away. Emily took a deep breath, straightened her dress, and rang the doorbell. Moments later, the door opened to reveal Peter, a tall, confident man with a mischievous smile. "Emily, isn't it? Come in," he said, his voice soft and inviting. She stepped inside, her heart pounding. The house was opulent, filled with art and expensive furniture. She followed Peter into a plush sitting room and tried to calm her nerves. Peter offered her a drink and they sat down. His eyes never left her, and Emily felt the weight of his gaze. "You have potential, Emily," he said, swirling his glass. "But potential isn't enough in this business. You need opportunity, and opportunity often comes at a price." Emily nodded, her throat dry. She knew what he meant. The casting couch was no secret in Hollywood, but she had come prepared. "I understand, Peter. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to succeed," she replied, trying to sound confident. Peter's smile widened. "Good. You're smart, Emily, smarter than most. I can give you a part in my next film, but you must be prepared to play by my rules." She forced a smile to hide her discomfort. "I promise I won't let you down." True to his word, Peter invited Emily to a screen test the next day. She performed flawlessly and Peter seemed pleased. "This part is yours, Emily. Make the most of it," he said, handing her a contract. Filming began and Emily threw herself into her work. She gave it her all, hoping this would be her breakthrough. But despite her efforts, the limelight eluded her. Other actors received more attention and her scenes were often cut short. She couldn't understand why. Her performances were praised, but she remained in the shadows. Frustration and disappointment gnawed at her. One night she found herself in a dimly lit bar, sipping a drink. The noise around her faded as she wallowed in self-pity. Suddenly her phone rang. It was Peter. "Are you feeling down, Emily?" he asked, his voice almost mocking. "Yes, I am," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've done everything you've asked, but it's still not enough. Why?" Peter chuckled. "Meet me at my place tonight. I'll show you the real secret to success." Emily hesitated, but agreed. She had to know. That night, Emily arrived back at Peter's house, her heart heavy with a mixture of hope and fear. Peter led her into a dark, candlelit room filled with eerie symbols and strange artifacts. "Do you believe in the supernatural, Emily?" he asked, his tone serious. She frowned, not sure where this was going. "What do you mean?" Peter's expression became intense. "There are powers in this world that can grant you anything you want, but at a price. My success isn't just talent or hard work. It's a deal with a demon." Emily's eyes widened in disbelief. "You're joking, right?" Peter shook his head. "No joke. I offer the demon something of value, and in return I get success. If you want true glory, you'll have to make a similar sacrifice." Emily felt a shiver run down her spine, but her desperation overshadowed her fear. "What kind of sacrifice?" "A child," Peter said bluntly. "A 5-month-old infant, your own flesh and blood." Emily's heart raced. The idea was horrifying, but the lure of glory was strong. She swallowed hard. "And this really works?" Peter nodded. Double quotes, "Absolutely. Do you want it, Emily?" She closed her eyes, struggling with her conscience. Finally she whispered, "Yes." Months passed and Emily found herself pregnant with Peter's child. As her belly grew, so did her guilt and fear. She began to question her decision, but Peter's promises bound her. The night of the ritual came. Peter had meticulously prepared everything. Emily, now heavily pregnant, was once again taken into the dark room. She was strapped to a table, unable to move. Peter stood over her, holding a strange, ornate knife. "It's time, Emily. Our success is at hand." Tears streamed down Emily's face. "Please, Peter, don't do this. There must be another way." Peter's expression remained cold. "This is the only way." Desperately, Emily managed to tear off the protective talisman Peter always wore. Without it, Peter was vulnerable. The room erupted with ghostly apparitions, vengeful spirits of Peter's past victims. They surrounded him, their wails filling the air. Peter screamed and tried to fight them off, but it was no use. The spirits were tearing at him, taking their revenge. His cries grew fainter until he fell silent, his lifeless body collapsing to the floor. Emily lay on the table, bleeding and exhausted. She called for help, but none came. The spirits, having taken their revenge, left, leaving her alone. Hours passed and Emily's strength waned. She thought of her ambition, her desperation, and the terrible price she had paid. The lure of fame had led her down a dark path, and now she had nothing left. Her eyes slowly closed and she drifted into unconsciousness, haunted by the choices she had made. In the end, Emily's story served as a grim reminder that shortcuts to success often have devastating consequences. True achievement requires perseverance, integrity, and a willingness to face challenges head-on. As the last flicker of candlelight faded, the room stood empty, a silent testament to the high price of ambition and the dangers of seeking power through dark means. In the small town of Rivertown, football was more than just a sport, it was a way of life. The pride of Rivertown was its local team, the Rivertown Rangers. Among them was a rising star, Jamie Carter, a young striker with an uncanny knack for scoring goals. He was the golden boy of the town, destined for greatness. One fateful evening, as Jamie was training alone on the foggy pitch, an old man approached him. The man, with a gaunt face and piercing eyes, introduced himself as Mr. Blackwood, a former football coach with a mysterious past. He offered Jamie a deal, unparalleled skill and success in return for a small favor. Driven by ambition, Jamie agreed without hesitation. True to his word, Jamie's skills improved overnight. He became unstoppable on the pitch, leading the Rivertown Rangers to an undefeated season. Scouts from prestigious clubs began to take notice. Jamie's dream of playing professional football seemed within reach. But with success came strange occurrences. Jamie began to see a shadowy figure during games, always just out of sight. His teammates complained of an eerie presence during training, and the once vibrant football pitch seemed to exude a chilling aura. As Jamie left the changing room one evening, an elderly fan approached him. The man, with a weathered face and sad eyes, warned Jamie about the curse of the Phantom Striker. He revealed that years ago, Mr. Blackwood had coached a brilliant striker called Tom Harris, who had mysteriously disappeared after a similar deal. The old man urged Jamie to break the pact before it was too late. Ignoring the warning, Jamie dismissed it as a superstitious tale. But as the shadowy figure grew more prominent and the eerie events intensified, doubt began to creep into his mind. Desperate for answers, Jamie sought out Mr. Blackwood. He found him in a dilapidated old house on the outskirts of town. The air inside was thick with foreboding. Mr. Blackwood admitted the truth. The Phantom Striker was the restless spirit of Tom Harris, bound by the curse Jamie had unwittingly cast. The only way to break the curse was to abandon his dreams of professional football and leave Rivertown forever. Torn between his dreams and his growing fear, Jamie returned to the pitch, determined to face the Phantom Striker. In the middle of a crucial match, the shadowy figure appeared, more tangible than ever. As Jamie scored what should have been the winning goal, a biting chill swept through the stadium and the ball veered off course, missing the net entirely. After the game, Jamie realized he had no choice. The curse was real, and it was destroying everything he loved about football. He made the heartbreaking decision to leave Rivertown, hoping to end the torment. On his last night in town, Jamie visited the pitch one last time. Under the moonlight, he saw the Phantom Striker, now fully visible. It was Tom Harris, his face etched with grief. As Jamie walked away, the Phantom whispered a haunting thank you before disappearing into the night. Jamie moved to a distant city where he began a new life away from the shadows of his past. He never played football again, but found peace in coaching young players, teaching them to put their love of the game before ambition and glory. Back in Rivertown, the sinister presence on the pitch faded. The Rivertown Rangers continued to play, but the legend of the Phantom Striker and Jamie Carter's sacrifice became a cautionary tale for future generations, a reminder that some deals come at a higher price.